Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I am on the campus of Riverside High School in Jacksonville, Florida, at a stadium forever known as the Backyard. And if you look behind me, you can see that it's truly in the backyard. That is Belvedere Street over there. And you got some people that just look out their window and see a good football game. This is only the third time that I've been here. The first time I came here, I was a freshman in high school. My school came here, and they didn't have all this stuff over here. The field was completely different. We parked over there in the corner. It was a softball field over there. That was back in 1985. The second time I came here was 2007. I had a student who transferred over here to play football for his 10th grade year. Now I'm back. But if you see the field, it looks completely different from the way it looked back the first time I saw it. Those bleachers over there, they were like small sections, and it looked like a city park, and it even had wooden benches. The field was all soggy and mushy, and you kind of like sunk down in it, and it just didn't seem to be a good place to play some football where you can just step in any spot and you'd be all messed up. But they've done a great job with the field. Let me show you that field again. They've done a lot of additions over here. You know, that new building over there. They got the concession stand. Man, this is a nice place. And the good thing about it is most of the stadiums here in Jacksonville for high school are going to be redone because they got a referendum passed and the voters are going to pay extra tax to get the local fields done. But the reason why I'm here, I wanted to tell you this story about the first time Emmitt Smith came to Jacksonville. So if you guess that Smith came with the Gators to play football, you are correct. However, he was with his high school Gators, Pensacola Escambia. After winning the first round game 26-23 in triple overtime down in Tallahassee, they went 200 miles further east to take on Lee. Lee at the time was ranked '1, and it had a feature of a rugged defense, knocking people out. Well, Smith, he came to town as a leading rusher in Class 3A. When he played, he was averaging 211 yards a game. He missed a couple games, and his average dropped down to a terrible 179. How dare Smith have a 169-yard average? But anyway, Lee was going to have that defense to have a chance. Well, just to tell you what went down, first time Smith touched the ball, he ran for 33 yards. At the end of the half, he had 71. Escambia led at halftime 10-7. Now Lee set you up for what's coming. They had a penalty problem. It was good everywhere else, and when it came to making penalties, they were terrible. And you know how that normally goes in sports. Your weakness usually comes back to bite you. So again, Escambia goes in at halftime. Smith has 71 yards. So the defensive coordinator for Lee said he made some adjustments. At first they tried to create this special defense to stop Smith, and it wasn't working. So the adjustment they made was to go back to the base defense. That had a huge effect on the way the game took place. Now, the second half kickoff, Escambia kicked it off. Lee popped one all the way back to the house. So now they up 13-10. Field goal kicker, who has been solid all year long, shanked the extra point. Okay, skip to the fourth quarter. They had been stuffing Smith since he made that 33-yard run. He didn't do very much the rest of the game. But the key part of the game, Lee had a 3rd down and 3 on their own 36 with 4 minutes left in the game, holding a 13-10 lead. Well, they get a false start. That pushed them back to the 31. Then they get a holding call after the incomplete pass to force 4th down. No, let me scratch that. It wasn't 4th down. They had a 15-yard penalty on top of the false start that pushed them all the way back to the 21. So what they ended up doing was fumbling the snap. Escambia fell on it. They got enough yards to get in position, and they kicked the tying field goal to send the game into overtime. Which brings up the most exciting time in high school sports, any sport anyway. You put the ball on the 10-yard line, you got 4 downs to do whatever it is you're going to do. You can kick a field goal, touchdown, whatever, but you got 4 chances. Then the other team, they get 4 chances to see what they can do. Well, what ended up happening was, the first overtime, they both kicked field goals. The second overtime, they both scored touchdowns. And they both missed the extra point. So now, we went from 13-13, 16-16, now we knotted up at 22. Third overtime, they both kicked field goals. So it came down to the fourth overtime. Lee gets the ball first, shank another field goal. So Escambia didn't waste any time. They brought the kick out, kicked the 27-yard field goal. Emmitt Smith escapes to the next round. Lee, one of the best teams they had here, goes home. All because they couldn't control their penalties, and a solid kicker who has been solid all night long didn't come through. That's been the same story over the history of Florida, at least from what I understand. Take Dante Culpepper, for instance. He had a field goal kicker hit a 50-yarder in the state championship game. But when it came down to the 19-yarder to win state, shanked it. So the kickers, they can't handle the pressure evidently. And it sent Lee home. Now, Escambia went in the third round down to, they went down to Bartow and ended up beating them. And they ended up playing in the state championship game. Titusville was a 2-time state champion at that time. The same night that Lee lost to Escambia, Titusville went to St. Petersburg. And it just so happened, it was one of those special years. The St. Petersburg Highs isn't really known for football, but that particular year they put it all together, and it worked for them. They had a deep passing game, they had guys with speed, and they played well enough defense to keep winning. And as they started to win, they started to bleed. So they ended up knocking off Titusville, and they won in the semifinals, and then they went to Pensacola for the state championship, and that's when that glass slipper broke. No more long trips for the Gators. They ran St. Pete off the field, 47-14. Now, the next year, go back to what I was telling you about the first time I came here, 1985. 2 weeks later, Raines played Lee for the district championship. Now my school ended up beating Raines on a Hail Mary pass at no time on the clock. So Raines was still in the hunt. Lee controlled the district. It still came down to winner take all. They played in the Gator Bowl, and it was 16-16. And no, it was 17-16. And Raines, all they had to do was kick the extra point, and lo and behold, they hit the crossbar, and then they end up losing. And that was a powerful football team. Athletes all over the place. They had a great quarterback, big as Gary Lorenzen, but strong and muscular, can flip the ball all over the field. They had Ronald Lewis, who ended up going to Florida State and spent a little time in Green Bay. That team was loaded. And the sad part about it all is only one team went to the playoffs that year, and that was Lee for the 9th straight year, or record. And it should be commended because in those days, only one team went to the playoffs. Now, if you put a uniform, you pretty much go to the playoffs. Now, here's what's interesting. I'll start tying some things together to you historically. In the first round, they played Ocala Forest right here in the old mushy field, the backyard. J.D. Hall. Now, if you're familiar with Jacksonville, if you're going down 95 South, right around the Avenues Mall going towards Baptist Medical South, they have these brown signs with the gold trim on them, and they like dedicate sections of road or the memory of a certain person. One of them is Jermaine D. Hall. Well, that's J.D. Hall, who used to be the quarterback at Lee. Now, he was the quarterback that night in '85 when they played Ocala Forest. They jumped on Forest as soon as they got off the bus. Before the people could sit down, it was 21-0. But something happened. Forest lost their starting running back, and whatever reason, it changed the game. Forest stormed all the way back and won the game 22-21. That put them into the second round at home against defending state champion Emmitt Smith and his Gators. That night, Forest couldn't keep up. The game wasn't close as the score. The final score turned out to be 35-21. But there's an anecdote in there that I need to tell you about.
Testing.
In 1981,
Testing 1, 2.
my school won the state championship. The star player on that team was John L. Williams. We used to play Forest every year for about 25, 30 years. They hadn't played for about 20 years now, but they used to play every year. I used to have this little handheld radio, and I would listen to that Forest game against Lee on the radio. I heard the whole thing take place. The next round, I still had that same handheld radio, and I listened to the Forest and Scambia game. Now, the interesting thing about that, when the game was pretty much out of control for Forest, the announcer said something that's never been said before. He made a connection between John L. Williams and Emmitt Smith. John L. Williams used to be number 22 for the Gators up through the 85 season. I can't tell you who wore the 86, but when Smith got to Florida, he wore number 22. So the thing about it was, the man said, he kind of reminds you of John L. Williams. It doesn't look like he's doing much, but at the end of the night, he's got 200 yards. That's the first and only time I ever heard a reference between those two. Now let me give you another connection to those particular two. John L., when they won the state championship back in '81, the first round in the playoffs, guess who they beat? Jacksonville Lee, right here on this field, the backyard. Also in the second round, they went to Tallahassee, to Capitol Stadium, now called Gene Cox Stadium, for the second round against Tallahassee Leon. That's the reverse of what Smith did. He won the first round in '84 at Cox Stadium, and he came here for the second round. So now you got two ties. They got the same path. They both won state championships, and they both had to get through Jacksonville Lee. Got another one coming up for you later on. But let's go back to the playoffs. Hold on. Let me get my thoughts together. Back in that game in '85, guess who was on the sideline of Lee that night playing against Emmitt Smith? Give up? Leroy Butler. So what did I just say to you? I just told you that Leroy Butler played against Emmitt Smith. So let me say it another way. Future Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith matched up in high school against future Hall of Famer Leroy Butler. It is one of the few, if any, known documented cases where you had two Hall of Famers match up against each other in high school. You never heard that on SportsCenter, you never heard that anywhere else, but you're hearing it right here now. Butler took on Smith in their playoff game in 1984 that Scambia won in 4 overtimes, 28-25. Now, let me go back to the John L. Williams thing. I don't know how many times Smith and Williams got together during the pros. I know they had to play at least one when John L. was in Seattle, because at the time he played the other conference every 3 years. John L. played 8 years in Seattle, leaving after the '93 season. And you know, Emmitt came in 1990. Well, in Super Bowl 30, John L. played for Pittsburgh. And you know, they played against Dallas in Super Bowl 30. And the interesting thing about that, that's when Neil O'Donnell decided he wanted to be a Cowboy and threw those 2 errant interceptions to Larry Brown. Well, on that second interception, Brown was going to score a touchdown. Guess who knocked him out? Not Emmitt, but John L. Williams knocked him out of bounds. So now you got connections from the past, connections with the 2 in college, and now they're playing against each other for a championship. Now, another tie, Hall of Famer. If you look at the thumbnail I posted, nobody ever said this before, but in that picture, you got Reggie White, Hall of Famer, Leroy Butler, Hall of Famer, and Emmitt Smith, all in that shot right there, with those 2 trying to get Smith to the ground. So what I'm telling you is nugget after nugget after nugget. Emmitt Smith, first time playing in Jacksonville, was right here in the backyard. He on this redone field. And it wasn't with the Florida Gators, it was the Scambia Gators. So if you got nuggets that can beat that, send me up. This is Sports for Real.